Welcome back to Racing Across America. Always happy to talk to our friend Penelope Miller, Digital Media Manager for America's Best Racing. Good morning, Penelope.
Good morning.
And we're happy to get you slotted in last week. We wanted you in last Wednesday. We had some technical difficulties. That was just a few days after the Breeders' Cup, and that's going to be the focus of our discussion. But we did want to get you in. I said at the top of the show, we have you on the show occasionally during the year because part of your job with America's Best Racing is to cover some of the big events for the America's Best Racing website, put up nice diaries after some of the big races, and we tap into that knowledge and get some of the atmosphere at the big events. Most recently, obviously, the biggest of events, the Breeders' Cup. You had some diary entries on the America's Best Racing website, and I'd advise people to go and catch up with those if they haven't read them already. We're going to tap into some of that, have some photos I pulled off your diary and whatnot. But before we talk about specifics, I just want generally, again, you hit the big events all year long. This was the biggest of events, and did it live up to that championship status?
You know, it really did. There's nothing like the Breeders' Cup. Between the horses, the sport, the betting, the people, the atmosphere, and of course being at beautiful Santa Anita Park, it's just one of the most exciting electric events in all of sports, not just horse racing. And, you know, to have so many people out there enjoying 2 amazing days of racing and the build-up beforehand, you know, just the scene at Clocker's Corner, people watching work, seeing 200 of the best horses in the world and their various entourages. It's just an experience like no other. And I really hope that, in the coming years, as the Breeders' Cup travels around the nation, more and more people have the chance to experience the wonder that is the World Championship.
And for some of the guests I had on last week, I found it intriguing because I'm always interested what the local media coverage is, what's the buzz around town. And I was interested because you think of L.A. as a big city, it might get lost. But folks said, the area right around Santa Anita is very much like, comparable to maybe a Saratoga type where you go to the restaurants and whatnot right around the racetrack. There's a lot of buzz and you see a lot of the people. How did you find the local community and the way they were treating the event?
Oh, well, the local community, especially in Arcadia, really does, rally around the Breeders' Cup. They enjoy having all the horsemen there. And, it's really fun. You can go out to dinner, pretty much any restaurant in the area, from Arcadia to Monrovia to Pasadena. And at pretty much every racetrack, somebody's going to have, a form or PPs, or you'll even see trainers, owners, and jockeys out, having a fun night out before the real work begins on Saturday and Friday.
And talk a little bit about Clocker's Corner. I think that's something that people read about over here on the East Coast, but it's a really unique spot on the Santa Anita race strip where in the morning that seems like that's where the activity happens.
It really is. Clocker's Corner any time of year is just fantastic. I mean, it's so beautiful. The sunrises at Clocker's Corner are just breathtaking. And frankly, the atmosphere is unbeatable because it's a very isolated area at the racetrack. It's all the way at the top of the stretch. And you'll see everybody from, Bob Baffert, Gary Stevens, Victor Espinoza, sort of congregating and hanging out with fans. And they're totally approachable. They're happy to talk to anybody about anything, take pictures, answer questions. And it's really like no place else in the entire world. And, of course, you're treated to also seeing some of the best horses, not just in America, but worldwide around Breeders' Cup time, taking their morning exercise. And you can even hopefully find a sneaky winner or a good paying attention to the horses.
And I'll also tie in, I've asked all the other guests about this as well, certainly looking at photos and on television, very impressive, that vista at Santa Anita, but from what I understand, even more impressive in person.
I mean, it is really just some of the most spectacular mornings you'll ever see. I had a morning, I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday morning, where, the sky was just the most brilliant red as the sun came up, and I sort of took a moment and thought, this seems like one of those painted Hollywood backdrops in the 1950s. It was just so remarkably beautiful, and to be able to see that in person with the quality of horses and the quality of horsemen and women that work with the horses, it's just an experience like no other.
And let's now talk about some specifics. And as I say, photos, I pulled off your diary on the America's Best Racing website. And again, I'll tell people to go pull that up. But speaking of quality, there were quality fans as well. There were some celebrities out there, and I'll tell the guys they can pop right through these photos. Elizabeth Banks, Richie Sambora, Jim Rome. You have photos of some of them on the diary. And give us some of your thoughts on the celebrities. And did you spot any others in the crowd?
There were tons of celebrities there, and not just the ones you mentioned. Michael Owen, who is was a world-class soccer player, was actually the owner of the Brown Panther, who ran in the turf. And there were just many others. I mean, and then there were those celebrities from within horse racing as well. I mean, it's always a thrill to see Steve Coburn. You can see, the jockeys, the trainers, everything like that. But yeah, seeing, Elizabeth Banks or Laura Bell Bundy or, any number of people. Bo Derek is obviously a fixture on the West Coast. And it's just crazy because they walk, in the crowd with everyone else. And it's really the only kind of sporting event I can think of where, the celebrities aren't kept away. They interact. They're right there with the fans.
Yeah, Elizabeth Banks participated in the NBC broadcast. She's an ambassador. We're looking at the picture now of Jim Rome. And, of course, he's gotten into the game in such a big way as an owner. So that's always fun when the celebrities show up as well. I think that's good kind of cross-promotion for the sport. You mentioned Steve Coburn. I'll tap into a couple other pictures you had that I found kind of interesting. You had a woman holding up a California Chrome poster, and then a picture of Art Sherman as well. And I'll ask you, because this is the way it appeared on the NBC broadcast, California Chrome came out onto the track, and man, did he seem like a fan favorite. You got it even through the NBC broadcast. It seemed like he got an extra special round of applause. Was that evident on track as well?
Absolutely. I was fortunate enough to have access to the paddock before the Breeders' Cup Classic, and just seeing the amount of fans who were there wearing their purple and green, carrying their signs, and who really, they cheered every time California Chrome came past. Anytime Art Sherman, Victor Espinoza, Steve Coburn made an appearance near the rail, there was just so much support. And I think that California Chrome especially, blue-collar horse who's made more than good, really resonates with fans, who are either core fans of horse racing or new fans that might just love the horse and the story around him. And it really was great just to see fan reaction. And I had one thing standing right near the tunnel from the saddling area to the paddock. There was a huge group of people who had signs that said they were Shermies, and when Art Sherman walked out, I think he was surprised in a wonderful way to see just how many people showed up to support him and his horse.
Yeah, as I say, it came through on the broadcast that he was really getting extra special attention. I guess part of that, it is out in Southern California, so it's the hometown hero kind of a thing, and the Kentucky Derby winner. But it was interesting and kind of fun to see that. I'll also throw in, continuing on the California Chrome team theme, it's nice to see you go to all the big events, and you are not jaded, because I laughed, and we have the picture here. You took the selfie with Steve Coburn in the background. I like that.
I thought I was being so subtle, and then upon further review, it is very, very clear that he knows exactly what I'm doing.
And I laughed. You captioned the picture like that as well. Very, very funny. And I'll toss out another photo you had on that I liked. Bobby's kitten out on the racetrack, Ken Ramsey and family bringing the horse in. And to me, it just captures the Breeders' Cup and horse racing, and Ramsey so enthusiastic, the whole family out there, jockey throwing up the flowers in the air. A great, capture of, as I say, the day, the elation. I think it was a couple of very good days. There was a little controversy, obviously, with the non-DQ in the last race. But just give me a feeling overall of the 2 days of racing, and maybe a couple of your favorite moments from the 2 days.
Absolutely. I think, my favorite moments on Friday, I have to go with Untappable winning the Distaff. I know it's a cliche, but what a wonderful moment for, both the horse and her connections, and especially Rosie. And then having Rosie sort of drop the huge announcement that she's expecting her first child and will be out of the saddle for the foreseeable future. The expression on her mother's face when she found out that Rosie was having a baby, it was just, it was really just something so special and so memorable. For Saturday, who can forget Take Charge Brandy winning the juvenile fillies? And, from a selfish point of view, I would love to see Mr. Horton back at the Eclipse Awards ceremony, because that man knows how to give a speech. But that was just a wonderful moment. Just have B. Wayne Lucas, the coach, come back to the Breeders' Cup Winner's Circle, where he's clearly so very comfortable. It's always a wonderful thing. And, of course, just the classic itself, the lead-up moments going into the big race, and just the beauty of having these amazing world-class top athletes compete under the setting sun, under the mountains is amazing. And, of course, one of my favorite things is seeing the sophomores shine, all these 3-year-olds we've been following so, religiously from the very beginning of spring. They're still out there, they're still competing, and they're finishing in the top seeds in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And I think that really speaks to the strength of the crop. And, we're going to be seeing these horses again next year, and I think that's just wonderful.
Yeah, and we just talked about that very topic with Jeremy Plonk. We recapped the 3-year-old season and wound up 3-year-olds in the top 6 spots in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Bodes very well for 2015 and gives us something to look forward to. We talked a little bit during the break. What are you looking forward to next? Where's the next stop on the Penelope Miller tour of tour of envy for the rest of us?
Well, I believe my very next stop will be probably seeing my parents for Thanksgiving. But aside from that, I will be going down to Gulfstream Park in Miami in January for the Eclipse Awards, which is always a wonderful time of year. And I think with the Horse of the Year category still up in the air this year, it's going to be a very fascinating year in championships. Yeah,
it should be a lot of fun. And again, the envy continues because January, Southern Florida in January, we're envious no matter what. But being at the Eclipse Awards and over at Gulfstream Park, a bonus as well. Penelope, as always, we appreciated the visit. We again tell people to go over to the America's Best Racing website to keep up with your entries regularly, and we'll talk to you again.